In a quiet, sunlit town where everyone knew each other's names, a little girl named Lily made a discovery that would alter her family's destiny forever. Nestled between rolling hills and cobblestone streets, Lily's world was simple: a small house with peeling paint, hand-me-down toys, and a mother who worked tirelessly to make ends meet. But Lily's imagination was vast, and she spent her days exploring meadows and chasing butterflies, unaware that fate had a secret waiting for her. One breezy afternoon, while skipping stones by the river, Lily spotted something glinting in the mud. She knelt down, brushing away the dirt to reveal a delicate gold bracelet studded with emeralds. It was unlike anything she'd ever seen, a treasure straight out of a fairy tale. But this was no ordinary trinket. Etched inside the bracelet were two initials, EV, and hidden beneath the jewels was a story far bigger than Lily could imagine. What Lily didn't know was that this bracelet belonged to someone powerful, someone who'd spent months searching for it. And in returning it, she wouldn't just reunite a lost heirloom with its owner. She'd unlock a miracle that would rewrite her family's future forever. While playing near the old oak tree, Lily spotted something glinting in the dirt, a delicate necklace adorned with gems. Her heart raced as she picked it up, the sunlight catching its intricate design. It was breathtaking, unlike anything she'd ever seen. For a moment, her mind raced with possibilities. This could mean so much for her struggling family: food on the table, a warm winter coat, maybe even a new pair of shoes. But then she remembered her parents' words: "Honesty is the most valuable treasure of all." With a deep breath, Lily clutched the necklace tightly and ran home. Her mother was in the kitchen, kneading dough for the next day's bread. "Mama, look what I found!" Lily exclaimed, holding up the necklace. Her mother's eyes widened. "Oh, Lily," she said softly, "this belongs to someone. We have to find the owner." Lily nodded, though her heart sank a little. She knew her mother was right, but part of her wished they could keep it, just this once. The next morning, Lily and her mother set out to find the necklace's owner. They knocked on doors, asked shopkeepers, and even visited the local police station. But no one recognized it. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. Lily kept the necklace in a small wooden box under her bed, its sparkle a constant reminder of the mystery it held. One evening, as Lily sat by the window, she noticed a small engraving on the clasp she hadn't seen before. "To Evelyn, forever yours." Her heart leapt. This was a clue. She showed it to her mother, who suggested they take it to the town's librarian, Mrs. Thompson. "If anyone can help us, it's her," her mother said. Mrs. Thompson examined the necklace carefully, her glasses perched on the edge of her nose. "Evelyn," she murmured. "That name sounds familiar." She disappeared into the archives, returning with an old newspaper. On the front page was a photo of a woman in a glamorous gown, wearing the very same necklace. The headline read, "Billionaire heiress Evelyn van der Linde loses priceless heirloom." Lily's eyes widened. "She's a billionaire?" she whispered. Her mother nodded, her face pale. "We need to return this to her," she said. "But how?" Mrs. Thompson smiled. "Leave that to me." She made a call, and within hours, a sleek black car pulled up outside the library. A tall man in a suit stepped out, introducing himself as Evelyn van der Linde's assistant. "We've been searching for this necklace for months," he said. "You have no idea what this means to her." The next day, Lily and her mother were driven to a grand estate on the outskirts of town. As they walked through the towering gates, Lily felt like she'd stepped into a fairy tale. The mansion was breathtaking, with sprawling gardens and fountains that sparkled in the sunlight. But what happened next would leave them both speechless. Evelyn van der Linde herself greeted them at the door. She was elegant, with kind eyes and a warm smile. When Lily handed her the necklace, tears filled Evelyn's eyes. "You found it," she whispered, clutching it to her chest. This belonged to my mother. I thought I'd lost it forever. She knelt down to Lily's level. Thank you, she said. You've given me back a piece of my heart. But Evelyn wasn't done. She invited them inside where she listened to their story, the struggles, the sacrifices, the unwavering honesty that had led them to her doorstep. By the time they left, Lily's life, and her family's, would never be the same. Days later, a sleek black car pulled up to Lily's modest home, its polished exterior gleaming in the sunlight. The entire neighborhood watched in awe as a man in a tailored suit stepped out. He was tall, with silver hair and a solemn expression. This was Mr. Harrison, a reclusive billionaire whose name was whispered in stories but rarely seen in person. Lily's heart pounded as she opened the door, clutching the necklace tightly in her small hands. Mr. Harrison knelt down to her level, his eyes filled with a mix of hope and sorrow. Is this it? He asked softly, his voice trembling. Lily nodded, placing the necklace in his palm. It's yours, she said. I think she would have wanted you to have it. Tears filled Mr. Harrison's eyes as he examined the necklace, his fingers tracing the delicate gems. This belonged to my wife, he said, his voice breaking. She wore it every day until… He paused, unable to finish the sentence. Lily reached out, placing a small hand on his. I'm sorry, she whispered. I just wanted to make sure it got back to you. Mr. Harrison looked at her, his gaze softening. You're an extraordinary girl, Lily, he said. Most people would have kept this for themselves, but you did the right thing. He stood slowly, still holding the necklace. Come inside, he said. There's something I'd like to discuss with your family. Lily's parents exchanged nervous glances as they gathered in the small living room. Mr. Harrison sat on the edge of their worn couch, his presence filling the space. This necklace, he began, is more than just a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of love, of memories I thought I'd lost forever. And you, Lily, gave that back to me. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a check, handing it to Lily's mother. Her eyes widened as she read the amount. This is too much, she stammered. But Mr. Harrison shook his head. It's not just for the necklace, he said. It's for your kindness, your honesty, and the lesson you've taught me today. But the surprises didn't end there. Mr. Harrison turned to Lily. I'd like to do more, he said. I want to make sure you and your family never have to struggle again. A new home, the best schools, opportunities, whatever you need. Consider it a thank you. From me and from Evelyn. Lily's eyes filled with tears as she hugged Mr. Harrison tightly. In that moment, she realized that her simple act of honesty had unlocked a miracle, not just for her family, but for a man who had been lost in grief. And as the sun set over their little town, Lily knew that her life, and the lives of everyone she loved, would never be the same. Moved by Lily's integrity, Mr. Harrison didn't just thank her, he transformed her family's life. Within weeks, the changes began. A sleek car arrived one morning, carrying a team of lawyers and advisors. They sat with Lily's parents, explaining the details of a trust fund Mr. Harrison had set up in their name. This is for your future, one of them said. Education, housing, whatever you need. Lily's parents sat in stunned silence, unable to believe their luck. The first gift was a new home, a cozy house with a backyard just outside the city. It wasn't a mansion, but to Lily, it felt like a palace. She had her own room for the first time, with a window that let in the morning sun. Her mother cried as she unpacked their few belongings, whispering, "We're safe now. We're finally safe." Next came the scholarships. Mr. Harrison arranged for Lily to attend the best school in the region, where she could explore her love of art and science. Her parents, too, were given opportunities they'd never dreamed of. Her father enrolled in a trade program, learning skills that would secure him a stable job, Her mother, who had always dreamed of opening a small bakery, was given the funds to start her own business. But the most profound change wasn't in their circumstances. It was in their hearts. For the first time, Lily's parents dared to dream beyond survival. They talked about vacations, about saving for the future, about watching Lily grow into the incredible person they knew she'd become. The weight of constant worry lifted, replaced by a sense of hope they hadn't felt in years. Lily, too, began to blossom. At school, she made friends who shared her curiosity and kindness. She joined the art club, her sketches of butterflies and flowers earning praise from her teachers. And every weekend, she visited Mr. Harrison's estate, where they'd sit in the garden and talk for hours. He became like a grandfather to her, sharing stories of his travels and encouraging her to chase her dreams. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mr. Harrison handed Lily a small box. Inside was a delicate bracelet, its design reminiscent of the necklace she'd found. "This is for you," he said, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can change the world. Lily hugged him tightly, her heart overflowing with gratitude. Years later, Lily would look back on that fateful day by the old oak tree as the moment her life changed forever. But it wasn't just about the money or the opportunities. It was about the lesson she'd learned, that honesty and integrity have the power to unlock miracles. And as she stood on the stage at her high school graduation, her family and Mr. Harrison cheering in the crowd, she knew that her story was just beginning. Because sometimes the greatest treasures aren't found in the dirt. They're found in the choices we make and the lives we touch along the way. Lily's story reminds us that even the smallest hands can hold the power to change destinies. In a world where treasures are often measured in gold, her greatest wealth was a heart full of honesty, and that, truly, is priceless. What began as a child's act of integrity became a beacon of hope, not just for her family, but for a man who had forgotten the light kindness could bring. As the years passed, Lily's town became a testament to the ripple effect of one good deed. Her mother's bakery thrived, her father's workshop buzzed with life, and Mr. Harrison's estate transformed into a sanctuary for orphans and dreamers alike. But the real magic wasn't in the money or the opportunities. It was in the lesson they all carried forward. That true wealth lies not in what we keep, but in what we give. So, the next time you stumble upon a crossroad of choice, remember Lily. Remember that honesty is a language the heart understands, and kindness is a currency that never loses its value. Because in the end, the greatest treasures aren't buried in the earth, they're hidden in the moments when we choose to do what's right.